The main purpose of this tab is to help understand and maintain object-level security in a more convenient way. Here on the left, we have all the organization's profiles and permission sets, and up here we have some advanced filtering available. On the right, we have all the organization's objects, and again with some more filtering available. To examine the object-level security, we want to select the object. I will select the account object for this example. Then we can select any combination of profiles and permission sets to look at the access that they grant to the object. After you press go, you can immediately see the access rights that the selected profiles and permission sets grant to the object. From the screen, you can edit these rights, but before I do that, let me show you how you can document these permissions by clicking the Export to Excel button. I will grab a handful of these objects, and then I will click Export to Excel. Once you have the spreadsheet open, you can see the selected profiles and permission sets here on the left and the associated color-coded access rights here on the right. This sheet shows the object-level access rights for the account object. To look at the other objects we selected, we simply click through the sheets down here at the bottom. There's also a bit of audit trail created when we export, which we can see here. You have the org the export was taken from, the company, the date of the export, and who the export was done by. Now to show you how you can make changes to these permissions from within the app. Here, again, you can see all the profiles and permission sets on the left and all the access rights that they grant here on the right. If we wanted to, for example, modify all rights to these profiles, we would simply tick these boxes, put a quick description of the change. So I'll write changed X because of X in here. And then once we click save, two things happen. The first is that the changes are immediately made directly into your org, no need for any additional steps. And the second is that a log of the changes is created. This can be especially useful to track any changes you've made, as when you select the log, it will highlight in red what has been changed, as you can see here. We also give you the ability to revert the changes back to the state that they were in right before the log was made with the click of a button. And on top of that, if you click the Export to Excel button after opening a previous log, you get this spreadsheet, which documents the changes before and after the log was created. Here we can see the state of permissions now versus when the log was created. And again, we have a small bit of audit trail down here. The main purpose of this tab is to understand and update field level security. On the left side of the screen, we have all the organization's profiles and permission sets, and on the right side of the screen, we have all the organization's objects. You can choose any combination of profiles and permission sets with any objects you may want to check the field level access of. For this demo, I'm going to grab a random assortment of profiles and permission sets and a selection of objects. Once we press go, we can see a nice summary report of the object level access, which we can then export to Excel. Once you export to Excel, you can see the objects here on the left and the profiles and permission sets along the top. And for each combination, you can very easily see the color-coded object access rights. But the real power of this tab and its main purpose comes from looking at one specific object against profiles and permission sets to examine and update the field level security. So now I'll show you an example of that. So if I solely select the account object and press go, and then I click the show/hide FLS button, we can now see the field level security of the account object and the rights that each profile or permission set grants users. From here, we can make changes to the field level security, but before I do that, let me show you how you can export this information to Excel and what the export looks like. From here, we can see the field names with their API down the left. And across the top, we have the selected profiles and permission sets. Just beneath here, we can see a short summary of the object level access. And most importantly, we have the color-coded field level access. Then, if I go back into the app, we can make any field level security changes we want to. We can tick or untick any of these boxes based on the change that we want to make. So for example, I'm going to grant some read rights to the CFO profile. And then we simply need to type in a description of the change. So I'm going to write changed X because of X. And then once we press save, those changes are directly made into your org. No need for any additional steps. A log of the changes is also created. So if we open up the log and we scroll over here, we can see the changes highlighted in red. And if we want to revert those changes back to the state prior to the log, all we need to do is click the Revert Changes button, and that will be done. The main purpose of this tab is to query why two users have different access to the same record. So in this example, I'm going to query an account record by grabbing the record ID from the URL, like so. And then I'm going to paste it into these two boxes, as we'll be comparing two different users' access to the same record. And next, I'm going to look up two users in the org. We'll use Jack Mitchell and Gary Ross. Then when I press go, it will show me all of the reasons why each user can access that account record, from the profile and permission sets assigned to each user, to user roles, territory management, record sharing settings, and finally, public sharing settings. We'll start with the Intel tab, which the purpose of is to give you a one-stop shop of all the reports you need to do an end-to-end permissions review. That is in addition to the other tabs within the app. These are the things we typically look at when we're doing an audit of a Salesforce org for a Salesforce customer. I won't go into every report on the screen, I will just highlight a few of them, but in essence, the idea is you should be able to run these and it will give you 90% of what you need to do an end-to-end permissions review. So the first thing we look at when we look at a Salesforce instance is profiles or permission sets with or without users assigned. So if I click on profiles with or without users assigned and I hit view data, we can see our standard profiles at the top. We can't really do anything about these as they are standard and they come with Salesforce. If we scroll down, we can see our custom profiles, and you can see in this org, we've got a whole load of custom profiles that don't have either an active or inactive user assigned. So the first thing we recommend is to delete out these old profiles that aren't in use so that it brings down the net amount you need to audit to something more manageable. All of these reports are exportable to Excel. We look at a whole range of Salesforce permissions, everything from sharing settings, there are only a couple in here as this is a demo org, to which users are in which roles, to which users have which territories assigned to them, which permission sets make up each permission set group. And then we get into some more technical things like which validation rules are in the system. Unfortunately, there are none in this demo org, which is why the report is showing up blank. One of my favorite reports is which fields are in which page layouts. So if I grab the case object as an example, this shows us which fields are in which page layouts. So this is saying that the account ID is in every page layout, whereas the asset ID is only in the customer case layout. We've also got the Export All Reports button, which will export all these reports unless they need a filter added into them. For example, with the fields and page layouts, we selected the case object. Export All Reports will export all the reports that don't need an additional filter put on them. As with all the tabs, if you see something you need in this tab, log a request to feature/support ticket. That comes through to the dev team. If it's a quick fix, we'll prioritize it immediately. If it's something bigger, we'll plan it into a future sprint. So following on from the Intel tab, we've also got the Audit tab, which is used to give you a way of understanding your org health based on the Intel tab reports. It is designed to visualize any problem areas within your Salesforce org. So to do that, down the bottom here, we have the type of permission within the org, the total number of that permission, and whether or not they are used. As a first step, we recommend deleting out any unused permissions. So here we can see we've got 49 profiles, 44 of which are not used, which gives us a tech debt of 89%. That then ties back up to the charts at the top. And then we summarize the combined types of permissions into an overall org health, which you want to be at 100%. Using this tab, we can also create audit processes. You can define what you want to achieve with your Salesforce audit, give it a date of last review, and enter in any comments. These audit steps are customizable to your business. So for example, we might want to add in a step called promoting changes from Sandbox and enter a date and save. And then with any changes, the key thing is lots of testing. So we might add a step called test. And then maybe we need a bit of UAT. But really the idea is you can customize this audit process to your business needs. The Data Dictionary tab allows you to easily understand the amount of help text and descriptions that you have populated for fields within your Salesforce instance. It has two real purposes. Firstly, to allow you to mass update your field's description and help text after understanding where the gaps are. And then secondly, once those gaps are filled, you can create dictionaries of the fields users have access to. So on this screen, I'm looking at the account object, and the profile we're looking at is finance. We can select a combination of one profile and then multiple permission sets from over here to look at. But for this demo, we're just going to look at the finance profile and the account object. And this is saying that on the account object, there's a total of 36 fields, but this finance profile can only access 13. And then out of the 36 total fields, the help text is populated 4 times and the description is populated 4 times. And then in the fields that the finance profile can see, the help text is populated 3 out of 13 times and the description 3 out of 13 times. So these numbers tie into these percentages here, and it gives us an overview of where there's gaps in our documentation within Salesforce. So the first thing we might want to do is start updating these fields. So if we scroll down, we can see the 13 fields for the account object that the finance profile has visible to them, and their help text and descriptions, if there are any. This is a demo org, so the numbers here may be much lower than in a production org or of a real business. So if we click the edit button, you can see that the field descriptions and help text become editable. The description is what we see as system administrators. It's the description of the field. And the first thing that we get taught when getting our certificates or trailheads is when you create a field to give it a description and help text. Otherwise, 6 months down the line, there may be new system admins or consultants coming and going, and people may be unsure what the fields do. So we can very quickly work through the different fields, updating the description and help texts. The value of being able to edit them en masse rather than having to go into each individual field is that you can work on it as a team. And the action might be something like, we don't think that we need the accounts facts anymore, but Susie is checking with the accounts team to see if needed. And then we also give you the ability to assign data sensitivity levels. Here we can choose public or internal, or it might be GDPR or a different type of data security level. So we can mass assign this to fields as well, and we can mark them as a deprecation candidate, active, or hidden. And then we can define the compliance categorization here. So these 3 fields are actually Salesforce standard fields. So if you need to customize the values, you can do this from setup. There's a handy little search bar here on the left. You can have up to 1,000 fields on an object, so this will allow you to very quickly find the field that you are looking for. So there's a little bit of effort there in updating your descriptions and help text, but once it's done, the value is that you can then produce user-specific data dictionaries. So what I mean by that is here we're looking at the finance profile, which has access to 13 of the 36 fields on the account object. But if we were to assign the view all accounts permission set and click go, we can see that number jump up to 33 of the 36 fields. This is because it's now a combination of the finance profile and the permission set that give you access to different fields on the object. So a lot of the time as a system administrator, you might find that users are contacting you, asking you what fields do. So one of the most powerful things about the data dictionary is that we can create user-specific data dictionaries. In order to create the dictionary, we want to select a profile and the permission sets that would be assigned to the user. For this example, we will just continue using the finance profile and the view all accounts permission set, as this is a demo org and the majority of the help text isn't going to be populated. Then we press the select object for export button and choose what we want to show up in the export. So for this one, I'm just going to select help text, as this is for the user and they don't need to see any of this other stuff. Then we can choose which objects we want to create the data dictionary for. I'll select some standard Salesforce objects like account, case, lead, and opportunity. And then we click the export to Excel button. Here, once we've got the export open, we can see we've got our help text. Unfortunately, there's not really any here because this is a demo org, but down the bottom, you can see the different objects that we selected, and the help text will be populated here for these selected objects. And another great benefit is that If you've updated the description and help text, you can then run this as a system administrator, and it will document all the fields within your org, and then you can upload it to a corporate document management system if that's what you need. And it's also useful for system administrators to look at the actual fields within Salesforce to know what it's meant to do. The main purpose of this tab is to very quickly document which profiles and permission sets grant which access to system permissions. Up here on the left, we have all of the organization's profiles and permission sets, along with some advanced filtering available. So let's select a handful of profiles and permission sets and hit go. Immediately, we can see the system permission access rights that the selected profiles and permission sets grants. We're also able to export this information to Excel, where we get this spreadsheet. Here we can see the color-coded access rights documented. And down the bottom, we have a little bit of audit trail, which is reporting on the org the export was taken from, the company, the date of the export, and the person who did the export. We are currently working on making this page editable so that you can update your system permissions access rights from within our app. It's on the way, and that concludes the video. Thank you for watching.